Okay, I'm going to be recording this. If anybody wants a copy, they can email me at Glenn K. Harley, that's GlennkHarley @gmail.com. I'd be happy to send you a copy of this. So the history is that I recorded this at a conference a long time ago, and I loved it, and I've since been using it with a lot of people that I sponsor, and I've been giving it to many, many people. And I'll tell you the truth, one of the greatest joys is when I go to a foreign meeting, that is a meeting outside of the normal meetings that I go to, and I hear somebody say that they heard about the roadmap and they're using this roadmap and it's really helped them. Somebody that I never met, I have no idea how they got it, but I know that it's being passed out. So that's what I encourage people to do, is to teach others with this roadmap. You're going to need a big book, a highlighter, and a pen, as I mentioned a moment ago. It seems to work best this way. So this is going to be some suggested readings. It's kind of an overview of the program. And it's going to take us about 45 minutes to an hour to get through the first time. And then I recommend that you read this once a day, and it kind of gets your head screwed on straight. A couple of people have talked about it before we started the meeting today, and they said how much it's helped them in the last month or two, however long they've been doing it. The thing to remember is that AA seems to be the most important, has to be the most important thing in my life. And whatever I put in front of that will be the second thing that I lose. AA will be first. So this kind of keeps me on track so that I know what's important. And that's why we do this. All right, so I've used, Claire said she's going to be my guinea pig. Where's Claire? Claire, there she is. All right, can you unmute, Claire? Thank you.
Here I am.
Okay, so I'm going to use you as my guinea pig. You're going to do the reading, and I'm going to stop you periodically.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about it, then we'll do some more reading. We'll stop it periodically, often. All right. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is to kind of show each individual that we really don't follow directions so good. So Claire, open up to the very first page in your big book.
The numbered page,
Well, just open up to the very first page and let's see what you have.
it says other books.
Okay. Anybody
Well,
have a different copy, a different reading on that page? Yep. Stephanie, what do you have? You're muted.
There you go. Mine says Alcoholics Anonymous on the first page.
Okay. I was just looking at Stephen. He held up his book and it had the title page.
Fourth edition.
Raising your hand, Lori, what do you have?
A blank page.
Blank page. That's what we're looking for. A blank page. Okay. And we're going to start off with a blank slate. We're going to clear our mind of any preconceived notions of what we're about to do, just so we can start out and concentrate on what we're about to do here in the big book. So on the very first page in my book, it has some handwriting, but it's the very first page. It's a blank page. We're going to write in pen page 86. So page 86 is going to be the beginning of the roadmap. You will never have a problem knowing where the beginning of the roadmap is, because it'll be on the very first page of your big book. So let's go to page 86. And Claire is going to read for me. And on page 86, we're going to start with the second paragraph. A lot of these first few pages are going to be second paragraphs. I don't know why that is, but we're going to start out with the second paragraph on awakening. Now, Claire, before you start to read, I want everybody to take a highlighter and mark from On Awakening. You mark down to the bottom of the page. And then on the top of page 87, continue the highlighter in the margin to the bottom of that first paragraph. We come to rely upon it. We don't need to highlight every word, every sentence. So we're just going to put a bar in the margins to indicate that we're going to read those two paragraphs. Okay. All right. So Claire, you're going to start reading and I'm going to stop you. So be prepared to halt.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. On awakening,
Stop.
let us think
When do you think we're going to do this?
on a week.
Yeah, when we wake up. Okay. All the directions are going to be right here in the book. So we're going to do this when we wake up. Okay, go ahead, Claire.
Let us think about the 24 hours ahead.
Stop. What do you think that means?
We think about today.
Yeah. What are we going to do today? Let's think about this day, the 24 hours ahead, right? Okay, go ahead.
We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives.
All right, stop. Anytime we see the word ask, I put a ring around it with my pen because that's really a prayer. When we ask God, we're really praying. Okay, so we're going to ask God to direct our thinking, that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Okay, go ahead.
Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use.
Yeah.
Our-
Okay, go ahead.
Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives.
Yeah, see, so now we're trying to figure out how to think, right? And the big book has given us directions that we need to be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. The self stuff, all the stuff it talks about in 62. We don't have to make a note there, but everything about 62, selfish, self-centered, self-seeking, self-serving, all that stuff. Okay, continue reading.
Where did I just leave off? Under these conditions, we can employ our, did I read that already?
You
No.
did, in thinking about our day.
Okay. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision.
Stop. All kinds of indecisions. Do I need to buy milk? Do I need to put gas in the car? Do I need to call my sponsor? Do I need to do certain things? There's a million things that we think we need to do. These are indecisions. Go ahead.
We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision.
Ask. There's another ask, another ring around word. Okay. So now we're not sure about the things that we're supposed to ask. We're not sure about the things that we're supposed to do. We have these indecisions. So we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or decision. Now read the next sentence slow.
We relax and take it easy.
Yeah, we don't jump right into it. Okay, I got to go get milk. I got to get butter, and I got to get gas for the car. I'll see you later. Bye. No. We have these indecisions. We think about them. We give it to God, and we relax and take it easy. Now, Bill, when he wrote this book, he never repeats himself. But look at the very next sentence. Clear?
We don't struggle.
Yeah, he kind of repeats himself there. He says we relax and take it easy. Then he says we don't struggle. Okay, go ahead.
We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while.
All right, so now on the top of the next page, which is the continuation of this paragraph, we're in step 11 here. All right, so we're going to be reading various steps, but in step 11, this is the promise for step 11. There are various promises all throughout the book from step 3 through all the other steps. There are promises. All right, so here's the 11th step promise. Go ahead.
What used to be a hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind.
Yeah, so what are we talking about? We face indecisions, we give it to God, and all of a sudden it gradually becomes a working part of the mind. We're more God-directed rather than self-directed. Here comes the 11-step warning. Go ahead.
Being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas.
Yeah, see, we think that we're so God-connected that we're running late for the meeting and all the lights are going to turn green so we can get there on time, and somebody's going to pull out right in front and we can pull into that parking space and run inside just before the preamble is read. Oh boy, we're so God-connected, everything is working perfectly. No, God doesn't direct street lights or parking spaces. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, continue. Nevertheless,
we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it.
yeah, so that's how we're going to pray. Okay, we have this intuitive thought, this inspiration that's going to come to us. And that's what happens when we do this roadmap. We get God connected on a regular basis. We get rid of all of our indecisions, and we give it to God, and we surrender, and we allow him to direct our thinking. Okay, now right next to, we come to rely upon it. In pen, you're going to write page 25. This is going to be the continuation of our roadmap. It's going to tell us the next place to go. All right, on page 25, again, second paragraph, we're going to take our highlighter and we're going to draw a bar in the margin for that whole paragraph. Starts out the great fact and it ends up do by ourselves. You're going to put a bar in the margin. Okay. And when you're ready, Claire, you start to read.
Okay. The great fact is just this and nothing less, that we have had a deep and effective spiritual experiences which have revolutionized our whole attitude toward life, toward our fellows, and toward God's universe.
Okay, now there's a little asterisk there. It says fully explained in Appendix 2. Later on page 27, it says for amplification, see Appendix 2. Page 47, it says, please read Appendix 2. They really want you to read this Appendix 2. And Appendix 2 is basically about the spiritual awakening versus the spiritual experience. When Bill wrote this book, remember, he had the spiritual experience. He was in the hospital bed and he felt the cool breeze as if high on the mountaintop, and he felt the sunlight. As if he was high on the mountaintop, and he felt the cool breeze blow through and through, right? So that was a spiritual experience for Bill. Then he talks about how he went on through helping other people for the first 6 months or so of his sobriety, and he found that many people were not getting it, and he couldn't understand why people weren't getting this spiritual experience like he had. And his wife said, well, you know, you're staying sober, so perhaps one alcoholic helping another is really what is needed. And he learned over a period of time that these other people get these spiritual awakenings, that is a gradual understanding of what God is in their lives. So that's the difference between spiritual experience and spiritual awakening. So he's referencing here the spiritual experience. Okay, but it's the same thing, spiritual experience, spiritual awakening. There's going to be a personality change sufficient to recover from alcoholism. That's what it says in Appendix 2. You can read that at another time. So the great fact is that they've had this spiritual experience, which has revolutionized their whole attitude toward life, their fellows, and their God's universe. Now, the next line, go ahead, Claire. Read
The
this
next
one a little
paragraph?
slow. I'm going to stop you a couple of times. The central fact.
The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty
Stop.
that our
Absolute certainty. How sure are they? Claire, how sure are they when they say,
they're absolutely certain.
yeah, like 100%? Absolute. Okay. What are they absolutely certain about?
That our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous.
Yeah. So God is going to enter into our lives and hearts in a way which is indeed miraculous. Isn't that cool? That's what's going to happen. Now, the punchline of this paragraph, go ahead.
He has commenced to accomplish those things for us which we could never do by ourselves.
Yeah, there's the deal. God is going to do for us what we could never do by ourselves. That's the thing we've been waiting for all our lives. You know, I used to be late all the time. I thought it was a nice thing to be slightly late. You know, if I said I'd meet you for dinner at 5:30, I'd show up at 5:40, 5:45 maybe. Until I did an inventory with my sponsor one time, and he said, "Do you realize that you're stealing?" I said, "What do you mean stealing?" He says, "Yeah, you're stealing time from somebody else." I went, "Oh my goodness, I'd never want to steal time from anybody. I don't want to steal anything from anybody, period." So I asked God to take this away. I don't want to be late. And now I'm early. I'm early for meetings. I'm early for appointments. I like being early. I couldn't do it before, but that's what they're talking about. When we surrender these things that are objectionable to us, God can do for us what we can't do for ourselves. All right. From there, in pen, we're going to write page 63, which is going to be the next waypoint in our roadmap.
This is really cool, Glenn.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. There's more. But wait, don't order yet. There's more. Okay. In the second paragraph, you'll see in quotes, it says, "God, I offer myself to thee." Do you see that?
Yeah?
We're going to highlight those lines. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 lines in quotes. Just those items in quotes. Okay. In the margin, with our pen, we're going to write the third step prayer, because that's what it is. That's the third step prayer.
We're going to just write the words.
Just to
third
write
step
third
prayer.
step prayer, because you'll use that as references later on. Also, under that, I put in parentheses, knees, Knees, knees. And that's to remind me to get on my knees when I do this. Now, some people do this whole roadmap on their knees. That's okay. They put it on their end table by their bed, and they get on their knees and they read all of this. That's fine. But this one and the very next one, I recommend doing on the knees because it gives it a little more meaning. All right, Claire, when you're ready, read the third step prayer for us.
God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always.
Okay, so now there's a lot of thee, thy, though, thy will, all this. It's archaic wording. If you folks have trouble with this and you struggle with that kind of wording, if you go 8 lines from the bottom, just take a look at this sentence. Claire, it says the wording. Can you read that? You don't have to highlight it or anything. It's just a note.
Oh, the wording was, of course, sneeze. Excuse me. The wording was, of course, quite optional, so long as we express the idea, voicing it without reservation.
Yeah, so that's why you can change the wording of this third step prayer any way you wish. Okay, so let's go back to the third step prayer. It says, God, I offer myself to thee. What does that mean? Clear? What does that mean?
It means that I'm giving myself to God.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a surrender, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. And then read the next line, to build with me and do with me as I will. What does that mean?
Just what it says, actually. To, take my thoughts and actions and have me do what he wants.
Okay. What's the next line? Relieve me.
Relieve me of the bondage of self. Relieve me. Relieve is not an archaic word. Bondage of self means sort of release the the stuckness.
Well, all the self-imposed stuff, the self-seeking,
Yeah.
self-keeping, selfish, self-centered, all of those things that it says on page 62, actually straight across the page there, is what he's talking about. Okay, all these things that relieve me of those things. Why do you want to relieve of those things? Read
So
the
that I may better do his will, not mine.
Yeah, but what does it say? Take away my difficulties.
Oh, that way. Oh, take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life.
Yeah, so what is he really saying there?
Help me get out of the way.
Yeah, but it's really so we can help other people. By showing other people, by doing this surrender, he can do for us what we can't do for ourselves. Okay? By victory over them, I may bear witness to those I would help. Okay, so in other words, by me getting victory over them, I can show other people how this is going to work. Through
Right.
my example, right? That's what we always talk about in AA, by example. Okay. So then it says, may I do thy will always. Okay. Next to it in pen, you're going to write page 76. So that was the third step prayer.
Page 76.
Now we go to page 76.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it's the second paragraph. And in quotes, again, you're going to highlight those 6 lines. It starts out, my creator.
My creator, I am now willing that you should have.
Yeah, so highlight those with your highlight.
Yeah.
And in the margin, you're going to write the 7th step prayer. And again, underneath that, in parentheses, knees, because it's best done on our knees. Okay, so what have we done so far? We're going to read that in a second. But we
Okay.
said on page 86, I had indecision. When I wake up, I have certain things I think I need to do. We're going to surrender that. And we know that being still inexperienced in surrendering it, we may have some crazy notions that God is going to do everything for us. But then we go to page 25 and we said that the great fact was that God can do for us what we can't do but for ourselves, right? So the absolute certainty that he's entered into our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. Third step prayer, I just did the third step prayer, which says, take away everything that is my bondage of self, take that away so I can better do what you want me to do. And then the 7th step prayer, go ahead, Claire, read that. My creator.
Okay, my creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defective character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen.
Okay, so that's the 7th step prayer. And really what he's saying here is basically take away everything. I'm all my bad stuff, take this away. This is another unconditional surrender. Think of yourself like this, right? Unconditional surrender. Take away all those things that I've identified in the inventory process take them away so I can do which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Okay. Now, why are we doing this? What is the purpose of this whole deal? In pen, you're going to write page 77. Next to that, amen. Now we go over to page 77, which is on the other page. And we take our highlighter and the fourth sentence down, our real purpose. Just highlight that one sentence.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and to other people about us.
Yeah. So that's the deal. That's why we're here on this earth, to be of maximum service. When I do God's work, he does my work. I don't have to worry about my stuff. Okay. From there, we're going to go to page 85. In pen, you're going to write page 85.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it's the first paragraph. You're going to put a highlighter bar in the margin. It is easy to let up in that whole paragraph.
Okay, read it.
And you're going to read that.
Okay. It is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels.
Stop. What is rest on our laurels?
Inaction.
Kind of. I think of it more like complacency.
Yeah.
That's like this. If you can see my picture, I'm holding my hands behind my head and I'm just kicking back, right? I'm trying to stay sober today on yesterday's meeting. No, that doesn't work. So complacency is what I think that sentence is. So here comes a warning. We're in the 10th step now. We're going through various steps, right? Step 3, step 7. We did step 11. We're going through step 10 here. So go ahead. Here comes a warning for step 10.
It says, we are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe.
Yeah, he's a sneaky little thing. Okay. Keep going.
We are not cured of alcoholism.
And here's
what
the punchline of this paragraph.
What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition.
All right. Let's take that sentence apart. What we really have is a daily reprieve. What is a daily reprieve? Claire, what does that mean to you?
It means that I get relief for just one day.
Well, when you get a reprieve from the governor and you're in jail, what does it mean? It means that
You're set free.
Yeah, your sentence is no longer is terminated and you're set free. So we're granted a daily reprieve, means that we're really set free. Okay. But what is contingent on the maintenance of? What does that mean?
That it is conditioned. It's the
Yeah.
condition of our freedom is
Based upon.
maintenance is based on the maintenance of our spiritual condition.
Yeah. What do you think is the maintenance of our spiritual condition?
What is the maintenance of ours? What do you mean?
Yeah, well, how can we do the maintenance of our spiritual condition? What does that comprise?
It
What's that
means
comprised of?
thought through prayer. It means staying connected, being in God consciousness, turning our will and our life over on a daily basis.
Okay, that's one thing.
I mean-
How about don't drink, go to meetings, read the book, work the steps, call your sponsor. Those are maintenance of my spiritual condition. If I do those things on a regular basis, I'm maintaining my spiritual condition.
Mm-hmm.
There are many other ways we can do it as well. All right. So here comes another ring around word. Go ahead, Claire, read.
Okay, every day is a day when we must carry
Must.
the vision.
I'm going to circle that word must. There are 58 musts in the book. This paragraph has 2 of them.
Okay.
Every day is a day when we must what?
We must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activities.
Yeah, what does that mean? We want to carry our will where? Into
Everywhere.
everything we do. All the time. Okay, keep going.
How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly.
You're the must.
We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will.
Okay, where do we give up our willpower?
Step one, right?
No? Nope.
Turn our will in our life, that one. Step three.
Step 3, right. Made a decision to turn our will in our lives. Our will is our thinking, our lives is our action. So in the third step, we surrender our will because we want to be more aligned with God's will, which is what 4, 5, 6, and 7 is all about, right? Getting aligned with God's will. And here it is, we can exercise the willpower along this line all we wish. It's the proper use of the will. So in step 10, we get our will back. So in step 3, we give up our will, our thinking. Step 10, we get our will back because now we have the proper use of the will. Isn't that cool? All right. Now from there, we're going to write in pen, page 89.
Okay,
Now with that,
got it.
okay, page 89. And then on page 89, you're going to take your highlighter and the first 2 paragraphs, put a bar in the margin. So we're going to read those first 2 paragraphs entirely. And now this is step 12 stuff. Okay, so Claire, when you're ready.
Okay. Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics.
What does that
It work.
mean? Wait, let's stop. What does that mean? What's immunity from drinking?
The desire leaves us.
Well, it's more than desire. We're immune from it. We're immune from drinking.
You get a vaccination.
Yes. It's in everybody's mind now. Yes, exactly. So we're going to get a vaccination from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. So what do you think is intensive work with other alcoholics? What I'm doing with you guys right now. For me, that's intensive work with other alcoholics. When you pass this on to somebody else, that's intensive work with other alcoholics. When you're doing step work with them, when you're helping them read the book, when you're helping them to understand AA, that's intensive work with other alcoholics. So what are we saying? Nothing will so much ensure a vaccination from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. So if I feel like taking a drink, what should I do?
Work with other alcoholics.
Exactly. Start to work with other alcoholics. That's contrary to what we really believe in. We think we need to force ourselves to not drink. We think that we need to not go into sordid places, as it says in the big book, right? We don't go to that dinner dance that our company is holding for a Christmas party. We don't go to a wedding or something because we may be afraid we're going to drink. As long as we're working with another alcoholic, we're immune from that thing. We have our vaccination. Okay.
It works when other activities fail. This is our 12th step, our 12th suggestion. Carry this message to other alcoholics.
So what's the 12th suggestion?
Carry this message to other alcoholics.
That's the 12th step, to carry the message. What's the message?
The 12 steps.
The message is you'll be immune from drinking if you work with another alcoholic. There's the message. In the past, I used to think all I had to do was just not drink and I'll be okay. No, I was still fried. my thinking, we say it here in Sober Start, I come for my drinking, but I stay for my thinking, right? My thinking is what screwed me up. My thinking is always going to be there unless I start to work with other alcoholics. We saw that it works when all other activities fail. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I just read the next line. Go ahead, carry this message.
Carry this message to other alcoholics. You can help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence when others fail. Remember, they are very ill.
Yeah. So there's the deal. When psychiatrists, psychologists, wives, husband, or they can't get through to the alcoholic, we know how to do that because we were there. Now here come the 12-step promises. Go ahead, read the next paragraph.
Life will take on new meaning. To watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives.
Yeah, so there you go. All of a sudden, we'll start to really enjoy doing this stuff. And we'll stay sober at the same time. Now, that's the end of the roadmap, as I have it. Okay, it took us, 40 minutes or so to go through it. However, if you're reading the big book, and what I tell guys that I work with, to read 2 pages, no less than 2 pages a day of the big book. And if they read no less than 2 pages a day, they'll be able to go through the entire big book, which is 500 and something pages, in a year. And then they start over again. But if you read 2 pages a day, you might come across a sentence or a line or something that really strikes you. Oh boy, I want to remember this. Add it to your roadmap. Right here, you can put a little note to your favorite line, whatever it may be. One of my favorite lines is on page 45. It says, lack of power was our dilemma. We had to find lack of power was our dilemma. We had to find a power by which we could live, and it had to be a power greater than ourselves, obviously. But where and how we define this power? Well, that's exactly what this book is about. Its main object is to enable you to find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. So this power is going to solve our problem. Not me. I'm not going to get the power to solve my problem. I'm going to surrender it, and I'm going to find a power which will solve my problem. So for me, that line is really important. There's another one that I like. It's on page 13, the bottom paragraph. This is Bill on his hospital bed, and he's talking about Ebby. And it said, my friend promised when these things were done, that's Ebby, I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator, that I would have all the elements of a way of living which answered all my problems. Isn't that cool? All my problems. Yeah, all my problems. I have a ring around the word all. All, yeah, all your problems. Now, these are just things that I've added to the roadmap. You can add whichever ones you want to add. You don't have to add the ones that I use. Okay, so that's basically it. And I'm going to say it again. If anybody wants a copy of this, you just email me, or I'm going to turn it off now.